So welcome, Taylor. We've been watching you kind of blaze the trail here for the last, what's it been, 2 months?
Just about, yep, a little bit over.
Yeah, a little bit over 2 months. So really, I mean, 2 months in, doing what you did, nothing short of impressive. I commend you on that. I really just, for you to start, just want to know where you came from. How'd you find Family First Life? Why life insurance, and what brought you here?
Yeah, so stumbled across life insurance probably about 4 years ago. Stumbled into an AIL office. So,
Okay, no more names, but
okay, yeah.
just call it
So
the practice company.
practice company, came across it, didn't get the license at that time, anything like that. Transitioned back into doing what I was doing, construction, things like that at that time. Did that for a while, realized that's not what I want to do. Did teach me how to respect a dollar, but didn't want to wear my body out, right? So started looking for other opportunities. I figured, okay, there's a reason that popped up. Let's get back into it. Let me look back into it. So I found a practice company and applied for my license, got my license, started working with that company. And it just wasn't going too well, wasn't making the money that I needed to make, wasn't moving forward, wasn't getting the training, everything that you always hear from these other companies. So I quit working for that company, and it was either, okay, go back to what you were doing before and commit to the 40-year career that really gets you nowhere at the end, or use this license that you went and worked so hard to get, committed to this other company, and try to pursue it a different way. So start looking for other companies. How can I, utilize this license the best way possible? And came across an ad. So replied to the ad, got a hold of Ivan, and just ran with it.
Okay. So what was it about the ad that said, I'm going to give this another try with this company?
Well, dude, I reached out to like 3 different companies actually, and they all responded. And it was the comp structure, numbers I had never seen before,
Okay. Okay. So now that you're here, I guess first things first, just the obvious appearance, because I work with a lot of people and come across a lot of people. Your tattoos on your arms, you wear short sleeves in the field,
I do.
just show up as yourself and
Yep.
do what you came to do.
Yep.
Was there ever any hesitation?
It's still on my mind. I always question it. I think everybody questions the appearance, whether you should shave, whether you should dress up, whether you should dress down, whether you should wear these shoes, this shirt. I mean, you can overthink it all day, right?
Right.
But when you're going out there and you're serving the people and you're providing the value, and people can feel the energy coming from your heart, I think they're no longer judgmental, right? They're seeing you for your true worth, and not just your appearances. So it's really how you carry yourself, how you're speaking, how you're treating the client, the value you're providing, and all that surface stuff really doesn't matter, right?
Got it. Okay. Now let's start from the beginning. Dialing the phones. Did you dial the phones at your other company?
No, well, so I did. So they kind of had a different lead system. They were hand fed, but if you fell out of a certain placement ratio, they didn't feed you any more leads, right?
Okay.
If you weren't submitting enough business, they wasn't going issued paid. They cut you off. You need to go serve your warm market and get back into your range, right? Whatever placement
Okay.
issued paid range. So at that point, I had my manager. He was like, "Yeah, so I'm going to send you a bunch of our B leads, and I want you to dial them all day." And that was fine. I don't have a problem dialing. But these leads were 2011, 2013, obviously age mortgage protection the same way. But these were for businesses and some type of program they were running for business insurance or business owner insurance at that time. These businesses weren't even, still a business, right?
Yeah.
You're calling, you're getting a receptionist for a different business, not the business owner, not the decision maker. You don't even know what to say at that point, right? So it's like dialing all day for nothing. You feel like you're getting pushed to the wolves. It just wasn't good. It's not the same as dialing here, I should say.
Okay. Where do you live?
Madison, Wisconsin.
Madison, Wisconsin. I know you go to Ivan's office all the time to dial. How far is that?
It's about a 3 hour drive.
3 hour drive, one way. So 6 hours to dial the phone.
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Because I felt it was necessary, right? And I had the drive. I knew coming into it, I kind of was looking one way. I wasn't looking back, and I kind of have the all or nothing mindset. So it's like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go in and do it. And if I fail, I know I gave it my all, right? So I went in and was like, dude, I need to be around the winners. I need to be around my mentor. I need to be in an office setting. I need to feel, and I needed to change who I was at that time. So at that time, I wasn't necessarily a businessman or feeling professional about myself or feeling worthy. So I needed to get into that environment and say, okay, hey, I'm coming to Chicago. Hey, I'm coming in an office. Hey, I'm around these people that are making money. Hey, I can listen to them. They can listen to me. And it was just a lot of the mentality that went into it. I felt like it was necessary for my success.
What do you think that did for your, I guess, for your ramp up, for your, I guess, your onboarding, your startup, however you want to put it? How do you think it impacted you?
Well, I mean, I think the numbers don't lie, right?
That's true. We wouldn't be on this call otherwise.
Right.
Okay. So obviously you weren't new to the house. Well, I guess before we go into the house, what were some of the things that you used to prepare to plug into, to get ready to go serve people, to get ready for this new role in insurance at FFL?
Yeah, definitely plugged into the boot camp. That was something right away. Started getting writing numbers from the carriers. So would go on and I didn't try to focus too much on product training. I was told that I didn't need to do that. So what I always did, listening to what I was told, remaining coachable at all times. So if I'm told, hey, plug into the boot camp, I was plugging into the boot camp. I studied it. I took notes, told me everything I really needed to know. The rest was personal acclimation, right? So there's not really much more than that. Watching the YouTube, listening to the podcast, doing the boot camp, and saying, okay, these are the forms that I need. This is how it looks. This is how the EAP works. I mean, it's very simple. I don't think it's hard. It's not rocket science. And I think that's a lot of the problems. People coming in, they overthink it, right? And when you overthink it, you create that block in your mind because you're not allowing the creativity to come in, and you shut yourself down. So kept it really simple, didn't overthink it, and was like, I'm going to make this happen, believing in myself.
Okay. Who's your favorite trainer at FFL?
I don't know, man. I don't pick and choose. I think everybody provides value and a unique outlook, a unique perspective.
Okay.
So I think everybody's wonderful.
So when you go inside the house, when you're in the house, this isn't your first rodeo in insurance. What are some of the things that you make sure that you key on? Because you write a lot of insurance. What are some of the things that you make sure you focus on in the house to build that value, so you're not walking out with a no sell, with I want to think about it, or it doesn't fit my budget, things like that? How are you getting rid of those throughout the in-home process?
Yeah, so just going in, you can try to get rid of objections in the beginning, but you also, I feel like you want to be careful if you're throwing out there, okay, I'm going to need bank info, I'm going to need social security number. They're like, okay, dude, like, why are you telling me all this? Kind of forcing me into it. Going in, using the credibility sheet, just saying, hey, whatever your intro is. I mean, I go in, I say, hey, I'm working with Family First Life, partnered with them. I'm an independent agent. Using the credibility sheet, I'm pointing at that. I work with all of these different carriers. Have you heard of any of these? 9 times out of 10, yes. Okay. We do multiple different things. I'll have the lead card today. We're here for whatever we're here for, right? Okay, all that makes sense. They're like, okay, a little bit of credibility right there. Just going to the next page. We want to make sure we find something affordable. I'm constantly reminding them, I'm here to help you. I just want to make sure we put you in the best position possible. I'm not here to force you into anything or give you anything that you don't need. The last thing, and you told me this, the last thing that I want is you paying for something that you don't need. And even more importantly, not having the coverage that you need and falling into a tragic situation. And then just using the credibility sheet, going into the next page of financial inventory, says right on the top 3 objectives. I mean, you could just read right along. We want to definitely make sure something that's affordable. I don't want this taking food out of the fridge, right? Whatever you want to say. I mean, you can personalize it. It's reading the sheet. I mean, so simple. Using your resources. Find something that's affordable. We also want to make sure it's comfortable. What I mean is, it's meeting those needs. You totally understand it. And once again, it's not taking food off the table, right? Okay. And the reason for me being here is really just to see if you qualify. So if they're hitting me with like, we just want quotes and this and that, okay. I don't know what you're talking about quotes, because I'm just here to see what you can qualify for. So we're getting way ahead of ourselves right now, right? And just backing them back down, saying, I'm here to help you. I'm just here to provide information. I'm just here to understand you. I'm going to ask you a few questions. I'm going to listen to you. And I think that's the key, asking the questions and listening to the client. Let them talk. They're going to tell you everything. They're going to tell you exactly what they want and how they want it, when they want it, and it's just, you just fulfill the order. It's like taking an order, like you're a server,
100%. I say that all the time. I love recruiting people from the service industry because it's like, you already do this. You just don't get paid as much as we do. So what are some of the things that you kind of pull on or make sure that you key in on when you're developing the why? A lot of people just stop at, we'll figure it out, or such and such will take care of it. How do you make sure that you develop the why adequately in the home so that you can protect the family?
Yeah, well, I think the why, they know why. They're kind of testing you to see if obviously they know why they did it. So you come in, you can say, why did you send this in? I really just run through it, man. And, I say, okay, well, who's your beneficiary? And take them down that path,
Yeah.
They'll say, oh, my daughters or my wife or this and that. Okay. At this point, I'm not building the why right away. I'm going through the financial inventory, figuring out the situation, getting to the beneficiary, and then I can really go into, okay, your wife doesn't make enough to even cover the mortgage. Now I see why I'm here, or if you lose half of your income, you're not going to be able to pay for these bills. Or if you pass away, both of your social securities is not going to cover a $15,000 burial. Okay, what does that look like if you have to pay that? I mean, do you have that money? I've already asked them. They don't have any money in savings, right? They don't have any. It's going to be hard. Okay, and you can take them down that path if you want. A lot of people push on the why. I think just going through it thoroughly, adding the value, speaking from your heart, they can feel it. They know they need it. Don't, I don't try to push it too hard. Why? They know why. We go in. I'm there to help them. I'm listening to them. I'm asking them the questions. I'm writing things down, building the relationship, talking to them, making it a conversation. And they're just comfortable. And when the client's comfortable, they're doing business.
Yeah. I think you said it a couple of times, like listening. I think a lot of people are asking questions just so that they can talk, not so that they can listen for the answer. And I think you're right. If you listen, they'll tell you everything, literally everything: what, how, when, how much. They'll give you all those answers. But if you're not listening, or if you're not asking good questions, then you're going to be frustrated. You're going to run a lot of appointments, burn a lot of gas, and just be irritated and walk away saying things like, this doesn't work, when, I mean, clearly it does. And then I remember I got that. I stole that from Ivan. The now I know why I'm here. Just to kind of that aha moment for everybody, just in case they missed it, or in case that they just gloss over it, to make sure that they understand again, even though they already know that this is why we're here. Now I understand why we're here. This is what we're going to fix. So, I mean, that's huge. I remember the first time I heard Ivan said it, I was like, it's brilliant. It just makes so much sense. Now, when you came here, you came from a practice company where you weren't making any money. So you didn't have enough money for leads. Talk to us through lead flow. Talk to us about what it was when you started, then kind of what it stepped to, and then what it looks like now versus, I mean, type of lead, how much you were spending. Just walk us through that.
'em. Yeah. So I think this is good for anybody that's new, that's just coming in. So yeah, like I said, I came from a company, wasn't making any money. Actually came up at the end of the lease at the apartment I was staying at and didn't have enough money to sign a new lease, couldn't pay rent anymore. So had to get out of the apartment, didn't have money. This is before I found FFL. You know, I don't even know what's happening at this point or what's going to happen. It's like the world is crashing, right? So I'm like, whatever, you know, things fall apart to come right back together. So that happened, ended up leaving there, moved in with family. I had to borrow $5,000, right? Took a loan for 5,000. I had a bunch of things to pay back. So I had to spend like $4,000. When I found FFL, did my onboarding call with Ivan, I had $1,000. This is 1,000 left on 5,000 that I borrowed on a loan that I got to pay back. I had $1,000 left. And he's like, okay, can you buy leads? And I had, like I said, in my mind, it's all or nothing. It's like, I'm either going to spend this 1,000 and owe this 5,000 back, which is a shitty situation, or I'm going to invest this $1,000 and I'm going to make it happen. Right. And it wasn't like, okay, let me spend 500 and let me hold on to this other 500. Let me spend 600, hold on to 4. Well, I need to spend 9 and to keep at least 100. It was none of that. It was like, okay, the business can make money. I need to put the money in. And I had faith in myself. I literally spent my last $1,000 on my first order of leads. And I went into the CRM and it was, I believe it was some aged final expense, aged mortgage protection. Yeah, got my first order, spent all my money, didn't have the money for gas or lunch while I was out in the field or anything like that. Like it was like, go, you're going to use this gas that's in the van and you're going to do these 2 days and it's either going to happen or it's not happening. And I went and ran I went to Fond du Lac. I went to a different office. I didn't come into Ivan's office for the first time. And I set like 16 appointments. Then went and ran the next 2 days. I wrote 8K my first 2 days. $1,000 is back, times 8.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, thank God. And I'm like, man, here we go, So this was the ride. And I think it was just having the faith, having the belief in yourself. And when you put yourself in a position where you only can look forward, don't ever look back, and I wasn't looking back when I was dialing. I wasn't like, hey, I just spent this $1,000. I need to set these appointments. It was like $1,000 is spent. I'm looking this way. I have these leads. Let's set these. Yeah. And just went for it, man. All or nothing. Spent my last 1,000, was loaned out, didn't have a place to stay, was just all the way out and owed 5,000. I still spent the last little bit. And it got me here today.
Yeah. So what kind of leads are you buying now?
Now I'm doing CRM. I was doing lead vendors. CRM is always good, man. I've actually went back to it. I kind of got frustrated. I'm like, dude, I'm getting out of CRM. I don't like CRM leads. They suck. I didn't want to work, and you got to work. You got to keep working. So you always look for the excuse. I'm just like anybody else. I'm like, dude, I can't wait to get out of CRM. I'm going lead vendors. I want 10 different lead vendors, this and that. But those don't really come in. And then obviously you can get up to mail in, BPL, things like that. But right away, you don't get to that point. So lead vendors, I'm doing Facebook leads and things like that. And they're coming in like 5 a week. And I'm like, dude, this just isn't going to cut it either. So we're back to the CRM. Moral of the story, CRM leads work, spending about $1,000. I've been doing, I wouldn't say $1,000 every time, but 600 to 800 twice a week. I mean, every dial day, I'm buying a new batch of leads.
It's hard to spend $1,000 with the discounts in the CRM.
It's hard to spend 1,000.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, because once they discount it, it's less than 1,000 anyway. It's hard to spend $1,000 every week.
Yeah.
In the CRM.
Yeah. Just spending the money, buying the leads, doing trying to get the newer ones. Once you got your money up, do 1 month, 2 month, 3 month if you can.
Yeah.
Aged is the last resort. Always try to get as new as possible. That's definitely a goal. But they all work. Leads are leads. I think it's just all about how you act on the phone, your tone, and what you think about what you're doing. If you're thinking this doesn't work, then it's not going to work. If you're like, hey, this is going to work, I'm helping these people, then it works. It's all mindset. It's all perspective. And when you want to win, you make the decision to win, then you win.
I love it. I love it. You said I had all these vendors and then I realized I just didn't want to work anymore. So you found something to keep you busy to distract you from the work when it was really just a matter of doing what got you there and just continuing to work.
Well, yeah,
Because
it's
I
like
mean,
always looking for that next thing. You know, it's
yeah,
like, okay, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? I need this. I need that. I need that. When it's like, no, like this is right here. Just do it. Just work. Don't worry about, going and finding a better vendor, spending the time with that. Don't worry about reaching out here trying to get this. Don't worry about trying to go get a bunch of business cards made. Don't worry about trying to go get an LLC. Don't worry about staff when you don't even have money coming in. Don't worry about what you're going to do in home when you haven't even set any appointments.
right.
Taking it one step at a time.
That's what's up, man. Speaking of staff, have you started hiring? You started building a team yet?
Yeah, building a team for sure. No
Yeah.
staff.
Okay. So what's that look like for you? How did you start hiring? Is it what was your approach? Was it warm market? Was it recruiting ads? Where'd you start?
Started with more market. Yep.
How'd you attack that?
Reaching out to people, just using my social media, posting, what am I doing? What are my numbers looking like?
Yeah.
And people get interested, like, man, you went from this and now we see this, like, what's
Yeah.
going on? And everybody loves money. Everybody, that's kind of the social fad. People want to see you making a lot of money, this and that. And I don't mean like boasting or like that, the cars and the houses and all that. But if you're posting deposits, you're posting pictures with clients, you've got a good content on there, hey, we went and helped this family. This was the situation. Everybody's happy. $1,000 AP, right? 2,000 AP, 7,000 for the day, whatever it may be. It
Yeah.
piques people's interest, they're like, okay, I want to make a change too. So just using what's already there to catch people's attention.
Got it. And I always ask this question before I open it up to questions from the audience. But I don't know that you would have told yourself anything different. But if you're talking to yourself coming in FFL, is there any advice that you would give yourself, knowing what you know now, then to kind of help you get off to an even faster start?
I don't know, man. I really don't. Like,
That's what I'm saying. I'm like listening to you. Like, what could he have done different?
there's
I mean, the
always
dude
something to
drove 6
improve.
hours.
Yeah, there's always something to improve. I would say, dude, I don't even know, because like I just went all or nothing. Like I literally do everything that I can. Like no
Yeah,
excuses. Definitely pushing it harder. Like even though I think I'm pushing harder, stepping out of that comfort zone. Like, and that's key. Doing what you don't want to do early on. Staying very active. I would say holding myself more accountable. I think I'm very active, but there's times I could be even more active,
yeah,
So just saying, okay, remain focused. I started getting big checks. So if I could tell myself just coming in, hey, when you get the money, don't spend it. That's what I would
got it.
tell myself.
Okay, just pour it all back in. That makes sense. That's what everybody will say. So Taylor, we're going to open it up to some questions for another 5-10 minutes. A few questions if you have a few minutes before you jump back on the phone. So anybody has any questions for Taylor? I don't have control of the chat. JL, could you make me host again? And then if anybody just wants to unmute and just let it rip. Just anything that comes to mind. He's here for the next few minutes.
I got a question. What's up, Taylor? I saw you last week in the Chicago office, man. Good to see you again. So when you're first dialing, I'm brand new, plan to get in the field next week, and do you set aside time that first few weeks, even today, to kind of go over objections that you get throughout the day? Like, all right, I'm dialing day one, I'm hitting a bunch of stuff, I'm booking appointments, I ran into a few objections I don't know answers to. Maybe you write them down, maybe you log them in your mind. Like, at what point are you calling people to say, hey man, I ran into this objection on the phone, what would you say in this situation? So you can kind of add that as ammunition.
Yeah. So here's the deal. I'm not calling anybody because I'm in the office. Okay. So I'm right there next to Ivan. I'm right there next to other top producers, and they're hearing me. And I'm saying, and if they're not hearing me, they're not running out there telling me, hey, don't say that, or hey, say this. Then I'm running in there like, hey, this just happened on the phone. What should I have said? Or I've got the person on mute. And I'm in the office like, hey, what do I say to this guy? He's on mute right now. You know, and I'm getting the answer real time. That's the point of being in the office.
It's a great answer.
Cool,
Go
man.
to the
Appreciate it.
office. Yep.
Hey, Taylor, I have a question.
What's
Go
up?
ahead, Luis.
Hey, are you using phone burner, man?
No, I'm actually just hand dialing. I did phone burner for a while, and I just thought, you know, yeah, people are using it. Maybe you'll like it. But I like to just like I have all the leads printed out. So I've got all my lead cards. Using phone burner, it's all loaded in that system. How do you keep track 2 weeks from now of the lead card you have loaded up in that system? And you definitely want to have the lead card going into the home, something to place down, something to verify who you are, build that credibility right away. So I just keep it physical, print the leads out, keep track of them, and dial through them.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Taylor while we have him?
I've got one.
Hey, Leah.
Yeah.
Hey, Taylor, you seem to be a pretty much take it as it rolls kind of guy. How do you maintain that?
Always looking forward. Don't look back, and just staying optimistic. I'm big on, you know, where you focus is where your energy goes. So I'm just focused on what am I doing right now? I'm not thinking about what the last person told me, and I'm not thinking about what objection they may give me when I call this person. I'm just thinking, okay, here's the script. Here's what I need to say. Here's the lead. Let's call. Let's just go through the script and just taking it as hand. So, and then we get off the phone. I'm not carrying the next one. You know, I'm not carrying this person hung up on me or said something crazy to me on the phone. I'm not carrying that into the next phone call or even appointment if it's out on an appointment. So just knowing that it's not you, you know, don't get emotionally attached to the way people are reacting to you. Just keep moving, and know you're out here helping people, and stay positive, knowing every no gets you to a yes.
Just mindset. I think one of the things that I guess you can take away from him is that he's pretty confident in what he's doing, even if he may not be he's pretty confident in himself too, or believes in himself enough to bet on himself. But it really just comes down to mindset, and like he said, and like Paul McLean always says, whatever you focus on grows. So focus on what's going to help you win, and it'll help you win more. One last question before we let him get back to his phones or to lunch or wherever he is in his day.
Yep, it's dialing.
No other questions?
Well, I guess I just ask him one last one. Hey, Taylor, so are you door knocking in between appointments for those no shows that you get, or just dialing?
Yeah, I would do door knocking, you know, unless it's like a big 4-hour gap. One thing is, so on dial day, I mean, even driving into the office, you know, 3 hours in the morning, I'm dialing 7:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. I mean, non-negotiable, trying to get all my appointments. And just starting out, I may not even hit all of them. When I say all of them, that's 16. So like 8 each day for the next 2 days. So I'm dialing all day to make sure I have those numbers. And when you have those numbers, you're pretty busy, even with a no-show, getting to the next one, being prepared, because you may be a little behind or a little ahead, whatever it works out. When you have the numbers in your favor, you're not having too much free time. If you do run into it, if it's shorter, like an hour or 2 hours, then yeah, door knock. If you are having like a 4-hour gray space, then definitely dial in for the next day, because the next day probably doesn't look too well either for you.
Sometimes I'm with a client, and you know it carries on to an hour or more, and so I find myself rescheduling. Man, what are you doing to reschedule his appointment? I mean, you just reschedule them, and then after I've had it where I reschedule and then I go and then they reschedule me again, man. I mean, it's like, you know what? At that point, I'm done. What do you do if that happens? Yeah.
Well, what I'm doing in that situation is figuring out why my in-home takes so long, you know, and cutting that back so that I'm not missing other appointments. Every appointment you miss, you're missing a lot of money. And especially if you're rescheduling and not getting back a hold of them. So I would be focusing on watching, you know, call to close, some in-home training, going back to the boot camp if needed. And how can I shorten my in-home? What am I doing that's taking it so long? Am I talking too much? Am I asking unnecessary questions? Or is the e-app taking me too long? Do I need to get familiar with the software and dialing that down? I mean, in-home shouldn't take you any longer than 45 minutes. I mean, you know, so really tune that down and make sure you make it to the appointments.
Are you carrying applications with you as well? I mean, I know sometimes the system takes a while, man. So now I'm implementing carrying applications and just, you know, hey, do you run into that or?
Yeah, man, you get in areas where you don't have service and things like that. I don't carry applications with me, but I have Adobe Acrobat where I can edit PDFs and I have the applications downloaded on my computer. So if I need a paper app, I can pull it up, but I'm just using electronic to fill it out with like edit the PDF type of thing. Paper apps is a good way to go though. Definitely for a backup. I wouldn't knock that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Luis, I think the other thing is love the one you're with. So if it takes you longer than an hour and 15 minutes, just finish it. Give them your undivided attention, and it's okay to show up to the next one late. That's why you book an hour window. So it gives you that grace period for travel time, and if the family wants you to talk to their cousin or cover their kids too. So just love the one you're with. It's just like any other relationship. You're not gonna start pursuing another relationship while you're still knee deep in this one, trying to figure things out here. So just take care of that family, and then everything else will work out.